Hey everyone, Michael Short here. Come on, let's go outdoors. What a glorious day it is. We're out here on Lake Wabamun, and I'm joined with Geoff Dorward of Dorward Outdoors, who has been gracious enough to allow me to tag along while you do all the hard work, set up the tent. But you're going to get something out of this, Geoff, if all goes well.
If all goes well, your job is to make the lunch, I understand, and I got to catch the fish. Is that what we're doing?
Well, see, I'm not going to really rely on the fact that you can catch fish.
I wouldn't rely on that either.
So I brought along a muskox roast that I've cut up, marinated, and we're going to attempt to make a stew with it. So stick around, lots of fun and mayhem coming up. maybe even some lunch. We'll see what happens if I don't melt through the ice here and end up cooking at the bottom of the lake.
Let's hope not.
All right, Geoff, we'll let you go and get set up inside, and we'll check in with Geoff a little bit later on for some ice fishing tips and how he approaches this activity out here. And of course, we'll walk you through putting this stew together. Lots more coming up.
Now, with a lot of the cooking I do for the outdoors, I like to go back to my own kitchen and do all the prep work. So for this stew, basically 4 potatoes, 4 carrots, a large onion, and a good handful of mushrooms, just coarsely chopped, and into some containers for easy dropping into the pan when I'm in the field. Then we move on to the roast and chop that up. And then for the marinade, basically it's an onion, and then we go into the different spices, some lavender, about a good sprinkle, maybe two tablespoons, something like that. And then we move into the marjoram. I really like using marjoram in wild game. There's just something earthy about it. And again, good 2 tablespoons of that. And then, of course, a good sprinkle of oregano. Always great with meats, and especially wild game. It's also a good one for lamb, if you're thinking of doing a lamb dinner one night. And get that in there. And then, of course, a good dose of cracked pepper. And I use a lot of sea salt, which works out quite well. Now, for the liquid, I go with about a cup and a half of extra virgin olive oil. Get that in there. And then we go with the wine. And I don't know, this can vary. In this case, I went with about a half a cup. You could put as much as a full cup in, but I knew that muskox is pretty mild, so I didn't want to overpower it.
Going to light up the briquettes. Basically, I've got roughly 25 of these briquettes here, and my fire starting skills are something to be marveled at. Look at that, second try. So it's 25 briquettes, and I'm basically using about 8 of these tinfoil plates to contain the heat somewhat, and of course not get briquettes into the lake. And at the end of the day, we'll put the ashes in a pan and take it back home. So we're not doing any damage to the lake environment here. So we're going to let these get down to a cooking temperature, and then we'll put our pan on and the Dutch oven here, and we'll start the stew process. All right, so I think I've got the briquettes at a point where I really like them. They're just starting to turn gray. First step with the Dutch oven is basically just putting it right on top, right over the briquettes, and letting the pot heat up. And then we'll go on to the next step and start adding some food. Okay, so I think we've got a pretty hot pan here, and we'll just start off by adding some mushrooms and some onions. After the onions and mushrooms have simmered for about 5 minutes, add the potatoes and carrots. Add 4 cups of beef broth. I then add about 2 tablespoons of flour. This next step is entirely optional.
I like to add a bottle of Guinness beer, which gives the stew a very rich flavor. And then the final step is a small tin of tomato paste, which will help with the thickening. Let all of this cook until the potatoes and carrots start to soften in about 40 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is. I usually try and get it in and around that 350 mark, so you're looking at around 40 minutes or so. Then I add some basic dumplings to the stew. Now, one of the really great things about the Dutch oven, it allows you to cook from both the bottom and the top. That specially designed lid on the large 12-inch Dutch oven really keeps the briquettes in place. So it allows you to heat from the top down, which is really great for things like pies and breads. But in this case, I just wanted to add a little extra heat to get that stew boiling, and it really does work out quite well.
So while things are percolating on the Dutch oven, let's go inside the tent and see how Geoff's making out in our backup lunch plan. Geoff, how's it going in here?
Well, I'm thinking I'm glad you brought lunch, Michael, because it's pretty slow in here so far. I'm just changing up my setup here, going to a bright colored rubber perch looking hook, and haven't even seen anything swim by yet, so I'm not sure if it's the time of day, if it's a slow day out here. I know a buddy that's fishing a hole a few hundred yards away from us. He's got one small walleye up the hole, so they are around. It's just a matter of finding out what they like.
And is there any rhyme or reason that, like, how long, under normal circumstances, would you stay in a location before you decide to maybe pick up camp and move to a new location?
Well, a little bit different with ice fishing. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll drill a hole and I won't set up my tent. I'll just stay there and I'll fish to see if anything's biting. And if I get a few bites within the first half an hour, I'll set up the tent. On a day like today where we're out here, whether I'm with you and we're cooking lunch or we have kids and kind of an event happening, we'll set up camp and we'll stick it out for the whole day. So if I'm really aggressive, I will move spots until I find somewhere that the fish are biting, and then I'll set up. So what I have in the holes here is I have two lines down there. Both of them are spoons. One's a flat gray and a little bit of orange on it, and I have a minnow on the bottom of that one. And on the other hook, I have a spoon that looks like a frog, kind of frog colorings on it, and a minnow on the bottom of that. When I was out here the last couple weeks, I was trying worms, minnows. Minnows seem to be the ones that were catching everything, and I think I caught all my fish on the same hook and one on the one that looks like a frog. So we'll see if that brings me any luck today.
Okay, I think we are all set to go here. So, whoa, I can hardly see. Whew. Gotta get you some muskox here, Geoff. It's in there somewhere. There we go. And here you go, my friend.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Yeah. Hopefully it hits the mark for you. Ooh.
Smells delicious.
All right. Well,
Cheers.
Cheers. Unfortunately, we didn't have any fish to add to it, but
Thank God we didn't rely on my fishing.
That's right. That's right.
To feed us.
And I do want to, I need to say thank you to Keith Denoncourt, who was up at Elmer Lake Lodge this past year, and he was part of a guide system up there, and came back with a muskox and donated a muskox roast to me. And so, Keith, thank you very much. And this is my first time. I think it's your first time trying muskox as well.
It is. It
so
is.
Let's give it a whirl.
And thanks for sharing with me, Mike.
Oh my gosh, this has been great. Oh.
That's really good.
That is tender.
And hot.
There's nothing gamey about that.
Nothing.
That is outstanding.
Excellent job, Michael.
Well, thank you. And a little dumpling, just, what stew's not complete without a dumpling? Got to have that. Geoff, we were talking earlier about, I know that you're a passionate hunter, and we were talking about the hunting community is really a tight-knit one for the most part here in Alberta, and being able to get out and enjoy, we didn't hunt this one, but we are enjoying a hunt and eating what nature's provided, and it's so cool, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know what? The part that I like about it too, Michael, is that it brings people together. Like you and I, we've met each other a couple years ago. We've done a few stories. We enjoy the outdoors. I have a friend a couple hundred yards ice fishing away from us today, and it's that togetherness, that community that brings people together, and it's a strong network. I'm glad to be part of that network here in Alberta.
This is perhaps overkill. I don't know. It's fun. That's what it is. I mean, I love to cook in the outdoors, and I love cooking wild game, and the Dutch oven is just such a super way to go. But hey, no matter what your outdoor adventure, if you want to spend it with just sausage and cheese and crackers, then that's great. But if you want to have another little element to your day out, whether it be ice fishing or around a campfire at a main tent, you don't want to be backpacking this stuff, but it's just a lot of fun. Of course, you can follow this guy, Geoff Dorward, at Dorward Outdoor Adventures. You're on Instagram, Twitter,
YouTube, Facebook, all your regular social media platforms.
Outstanding. I really encourage you to do it. Geoff really has a unique perspective when it comes to hunting. I call him the trail cam king, because some of his videos where he's gone out for days planting these cameras in some pretty unique parts around our province, and the footage you get is pretty remarkable. So
you betcha. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to sit back, enjoy our stew, and we'll see you on our next outdoor adventure, everyone. Till then, I'm Michael Short. Stay safe out there, everyone. Let's go outdoors.
That's really good.